Let's go.
I am so excited to see you all here this morning for Enterprise Ready Conference. Please raise your hand if this is your first time at ERC. All right, that's a joke. This is the first year we're doing this. Thank you all for coming. We had over 1,400 people apply to attend ERC this year, which is mind-blowing. It's way, way more than we expected. Clearly, the mission of trying to make your app enterprise ready has resonated with people, and we couldn't be more excited for all of you being here. We have a ton of content prepared for you today, both in this keynote this morning with some new features that we're going to announce from WorkOS, as well as a panel discussion right before lunch with some product leaders and engineering leads who have led enterprise features at companies like Slack, Dropbox, Asana, and OpenAI. But probably the biggest benefit to you all that are here is actually the community that we're forming around what it takes to be enterprise ready. Look to your left, look to your right. There are incredible companies that are represented here across the full spectrum of earlier stage startups just beginning this journey, as well as public companies that are still investing in enterprise features. We want you all to connect with each other and certainly to take these conversations forward in the future. So please take advantage of the time during the breaks to meet somebody new, over lunch, make a new connection. It's going to be a great day. OK, let's jump in and get started. So I want to start by talking about the SaaS playbook. And this is really the story of how SaaS companies have grown over the last 10 or 20 years. So you get started, you build an app, and you launch it. Maybe you just launch it on Twitter or Hacker News or wherever you get those initial users. And if you built a great app and maybe you get lucky a little bit, you might find that early product market fit. People will continue to keep using your app. They'll share it with other people. You'll get more and more users. And maybe you even get some of them to start paying for it, which is really that sign of early product market fit for your product. This is the beginning of pretty much every SaaS company, B2B SaaS company, bottom-up growth over the last 10, 15 years. Mary Meeker, who's an investor and analyst, captured this in something that she calls the enterprise software success formula. And this is from a presentation that she gave actually back in 2018. These are the 5 steps that all of these companies have gone through. First, you build an amazing consumer-grade product. So you focus on the user experience. You focus on actually the capabilities that draw people in to use your app. Second, you leverage virality across individual users to grow personal and professional adoption at low cost. Essentially, people share it, and you get more and more customers. So when you started using something like Dropbox or Notion or Airtable, it was that growth, that virality that led it to spread. Third, you harvest those individual users as a business for your enterprise go-to-market with dedicated product and inside and outbound sales. That's a mouthful. Essentially, you build your sales team around this, and you use all of that bottom-up growth to actually power your sales engine. Fourth, build your enterprise-grade platform and ecosystem. And then fifth, the final result of this is the net result is you have a lower-cost, product-driven customer acquisition and a strong and sticky business model. This is the promised land for SaaS. It means that you can get really, really great customers that pay a lot of money, that are bigger organizations, and they're cheap to acquire because you're driving that growth through that bottom-up motion from the virality. So this really encapsulates what's changed in the software industry over the last 10 or 15 years and why we've seen mass disruption in the existing productivity tools for all the apps that we use every day. All of this is really hard to do, but I think this fourth one is actually one of the least discussed and one of the hardest. In these 6 words, build enterprise-grade platform and ecosystem, is years of engineering work and often a cultural change that needs to happen within companies to go after enterprise. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today, is actually how you go about building that enterprise-grade platform and ecosystem for your products. There's a famous book by a guy named Jeffrey Moore called Crossing the Chasm. And in this book, Moore talks about the product lifecycle that really all successful products go through, where early on, as they're getting adopted, the first people using it are the innovators, the techies, the people that are always trying to get the latest and greatest and try the newest stuff. Eventually, it gets adopted by the early adopters, the visionaries, a little bit more mass market appeal. And for some products, they make it to the early majority. That's really where it starts getting broader market appeal and more people start using it, and eventually the late majority and the laggards. And every product follows this cycle, every new product. You can think about something brand new, maybe in the innovators or early adopters category, as the AI tools that we're using every day. Something in the late majority or early majority, might be smartphones. Most of us here have smartphones, almost all of us. And then finally, something that's in the laggards or the skeptics. Pretty much everybody's using it. Maybe it's like microwave ovens, right? We all have those in our homes. So this is the chasm, or excuse me, from the book Crossing the Chasm. The chasm is right here, in between those early adopters and the early majority. And in this book, Moore talks about companies that fail to cross this chasm. That this is actually the most kind of important part of the product lifecycle. And all those products that maybe we used as techies or early adopters that don't get mass market appeal are the ones that fail to cross this chasm. I believe that there's something very similar for enterprise, for B2B SaaS. And I call this the enterprise chasm. And it's the step in between when you get those early adopters and those people to use your first product when you launch it, and when companies actually adopt it at scale and you're able to grow your business. And what I believe also is that it's really, really important to cross this. Crossing it efficiently and effectively is super, super important to actually activate your business and go up market and get those customers. And I mentioned doing it quickly as well. I'll talk about this in a bit. You can't really just kind of timidly step into this. You really have to go after it. Also, what I argue is that if you don't cross this, it's not just that your business will just be sort of successful, it's that you actually risk being disrupted by somebody else that's going to cross it. So it's super, super important to do. So why should you cross the enterprise chasm? What's on the other side of this for your businesses? Well, first of all, there's increased product defensibility there. So if you're building one of these apps, why should you go up market and cross it? It's a new moat for your product if you can go up to enterprise. Those features that you'll actually be able to add are more defensible. You also get decreased customer churn. Those enterprise customers are better. They spend more money. And enterprise has significantly better revenue retention. It's usually a predictable sales motion. So it's easier to build a business as you go up market to enterprise. Third, you actually expand your market size. So your total addressable market, your TAM. If you're only selling to SMBs, eventually you will run out of customers. There's actually not that many SMBs that are out there. Going up market offers you headroom to expand your revenue and unlock more customers. And last here, those customers, when you unlock them, it actually lets you accelerate your revenue growth and control your own destiny. If you're a VC-funded company, eventually the VC funding ends. And you need to power the company based on revenue and its actual growth, despite what the VCs will tell you. Eventually it ends. And so going up market to enterprise is one of the most clear ways that you can actually control your own destiny and build a long, durable revenue stream for you as a company. So it's really valuable to do. I mentioned speed. Waiting is also a big risk on this. So say that you launch your product and you kind of meander eventually and eventually kind of get up to the enterprise chasm and cross it. No big deal, right? Well, what can happen if you were first to innovate into a product category, somebody else can come in, copy your features, and if they're able to execute faster on the enterprise roadmap, they'll get to the enterprise before you do. And if they close those enterprise customers, they're not coming back. If you think about something like Box versus Dropbox, Box really went after the enterprise early on in the era when Dropbox was focused on consumer. And Box still has those customers that are not moving away. So waiting is a big risk. You need to execute on this quickly once you get product market fit to go up to the enterprise. I believe this so strongly that I actually think getting product market fit is not enough to be successful. It's necessary. You definitely need to have product market fit, but it's not actually enough to win your market. To win, you need to become enterprise ready as an organization. OK, so what makes this difficult? Maybe everybody should just go do this. Maybe I've made the case that it's straightforward. Why isn't everyone doing it? Well, it's hard for a bunch of reasons. First of all, building for the enterprise requires a lot of precision engineering. It's a lot of complicated features, complicated integrations, a lot of small things that need to work perfectly together to deliver an experience to an enterprise organization. It's kind of like building a wristwatch, where every little gear and every little lever need to work in tandem to deliver the experience. And if one thing doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work. Building for enterprise also involves lots of these small details, which creates a large surface area for bugs. You might have a zillion different integrations to do, a zillion different providers to support, tons of different small features. And those are for your biggest customers. You want those to be durable and to deliver a great experience. It's kind of death by 1,000 cuts. Lots and lots of small bugs. Building this also can require years of runway. It often does require, I would say, at least a year, sometimes 2 or 3 years really to invest in it. And so if you're an early stage startup, kind of cash strapped, maybe you only have 11 months of cash in the bank, I would not recommend starting on this journey. Make sure you have the resources to dedicate towards it before you go up market to enterprise. It's definitely worth it in the end, but you got to be willing to commit and invest. To give you a sense of scale, this is from a product manager I talked to at Slack back in 2018. Remember Slack back then was growing really quickly and really going after enterprise. And this product manager, they said, I would guess we've spent $30 million building enterprise features. And we're probably only halfway done. So that's a lot. So now you might be convinced, OK, it's valuable to do, kind of know the steps to go do it. I have the cash in the bank, ready to go do this. What do I build? Well, it doesn't get easier. Feature prioritization is actually really hard. That's another reason it's tough for enterprise. It's really hard to figure out what's a one-off feature, which you shouldn't build, versus a shared future customer need or a shared feature. Because you kind of only want to build stuff that are going to be used by multiple customers, right? And you might not know. When a customer says, hey, we need feature X, how do you know? Well, to figure it out, you have to do this deep customer research, but not with your users, with enterprise IT admins. Most companies are good at talking to their users, but most of them don't know the enterprise IT people that are out there. So you need to talk to them to gather your requirements. And it gets even harder. You actually need to prioritize this not based on your customers today, but your customers in the future. Go figure out who your customers will be in a year or two and talk to them, not just your early adopters. And to sum this all up, really, your user is no longer the buyer. That's the transition you go through. Early on, your user might be the one swiping the credit card or a team lead, or maybe it's even, I don't know, you're building a marketing tool. It's the head of marketing, the VP of marketing you're selling to. But at the end of the day, IT becomes your buyer when you go after enterprise. And they have the power to say no and choose a different vendor. So it's really hard to figure out what to build and how to satisfy this person's needs. So now you might say, OK, I got the budget, I got the team, I'm ready to go do it. I've done the research. We're going all after enterprise. We're all in on enterprise. Well, you can't do that either. Splitting focus is necessary. Early on, your focus is on the end user, right? When you got started, you built features for those end customers. That's why people started using your app, and that's why they were delighted. And the risk there is that this enterprise competitor can come in and capture your market, across the enterprise chasm faster. So you might say, let me just go focus on enterprise. But if you do that and you neglect these end user features, the opposite can happen, where a new company can come in and start providing those capabilities and actually disrupt you, pull companies away. It's sort of what happened with Discord and Slack, if you think about that. And so the reality is you actually need to do both. You need to focus on both enterprise features and also the end user features. And this turns out to be a major leadership challenge in companies. How do you balance these two priorities that are often in conflict for resources, engineering, design, even product launches? Who do you promote? Who do you celebrate? It's really tough. And perhaps the biggest challenge for building enterprise features of everything I've talked about so far is that engineers don't like building this stuff. I don't know if you've ever tried to convince an engineer to do something they don't want to do. it is tough. These things are typically not features that engineers get excited about working on, that they join your company to go build. They're usually not the features they wake up in the morning thinking, I know what I'll do today. I'm going to go add role-based access control to the app. No. You need to convince them to do it. And that's actually a big challenge from a leadership and motivational perspective as well. So it's really, really hard to do. This is why everyone doesn't do it. In the end, what does it take to be enterprise ready? When we talk about enterprise ready, what does that mean? There is a ton of different stuff. So I talked about a lot of the reasons why it's hard to do. When you actually commit to doing it, there's a lot of things you need to do as a company. You need to build features for those IT admins. I talked about some of those. You also might need to adapt your positioning as a company. You might change your pricing. You probably should. Enterprise customers often pay more for the service. You might even have different packaging, different structures. Maybe it's not per seat anymore. You have a different pricing structure for them. You'll build a sales team. You'll probably invest in a security team as well. You'll invest in compliance. You'll have multiple stakeholders you're trying to solve for, and maybe even use partnerships or channel for distribution. And the list goes on. This is not comprehensive. There's a ton of stuff that you need to do to actually transition to focusing on enterprise. This is why we're building WorkOS. WorkOS is infrastructure for enterprise features, making it really, really easy to ship a lot of those things to your end customer. And what I'd like to do next is talk about some of the things we built over the last few years, walk you through just some example use cases, and talk about how some of the customers are leveraging it today. So let's start at the top. What's the first thing that you need to be enterprise ready? Really the top requested feature, the first bullet point in the enterprise pricing column, if you think about that on your pricing page. It's SSO. SSO. Yeah. Thumbs up, Amy. You can tell we're enthusiastic about SSO. Not many people are, but we are. What is SSO, single sign-on? Well, it's really allowing your customer to sign into your app with their identity system. So not creating another identity, another login, another password, but using their system. That might be their instance of Okta, or Azure AD, or Ping Identity, or their Shibboleth server, or anything else. There's tons of different enterprise identity systems that are out there. But at the end of the day, it's them signing in using their existing corporate account. And this is often required. This is a non-negotiable. You want to go sell to enterprise and you don't have this, they will laugh you out the door. IT admin will say, absolutely not. There's no way we're adopting your product at scale without being able to control the login. WorkOS provides this as a universal API. So you just plug in once, and it works everywhere. With every identity system, it works with SAML, if you're familiar with that. It works with any OpenID Connect system. It actually also works with OAuth-based systems. We've been running this in production for years with literally hundreds and hundreds of customers today. There are way too many to mention. But one that I want to highlight, which is really exciting, is a customer that launched their WorkOS integration earlier this year, and that's Perplexity. Perplexity is an AI-based search and knowledge engine. They're going after Google. It's an incredible product experience if you haven't used it. You can ask it any question, and it really creates an entire article with links to other systems, and has follow-up questions. It's awesome. If you want to learn about anything, Perplexity is an incredible new way to do it. They launched an enterprise version this year because people were starting to use this at work and starting to share things with their coworkers. But it was really important to lock that behind enterprise auth. And they reached out to WorkOS. We plugged it in. I think within just a couple weeks, they were live with it. So if you're using Perplexity Enterprise, you're using WorkOS. The second product I want to talk about is we call Directory Sync. And Directory Sync allows you and your app to create this automated user lifecycle management for provisioning in groups. It's another mouthful. Essentially creating users and then removing them, deactivating them. If you're selling your product to a company that has 10,000 employees, there's no way they're going to be logging into that tool every Monday morning and adding or removing people manually. They need to connect it directly to their directory system. Also, they'll want to get group information to figure out who's on what team, so your app can do things around like permissions for that. This is what Directory Sync lets you do. It lets you plug into all the different directory systems that are out there, and it unifies it together into one interface. It works with SCIM, if you're familiar with that protocol. WorkOS Directory Sync also plugs into HRIS systems, so HR platforms like Bamboo HR. That's often where the user manifest is that's being pulled in. When someone's hired, they're added to that. It plugs into Google Workspace, which has a totally custom proprietary API in Google fashion. And WorkOS Directory Sync also actually works with the pinnacle of technology of the 90s, SFTP. So if you have customers that are on legacy HR systems that actually want to provision users based on that, you can use Directory Sync for this as well. And it's one interface for your application. You can provision hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of users through this, no problem. Now, we also have a ton of customers using this. But one you might be familiar with is Vercel. How many of you guys use Vercel? Yeah, OK. So in Vercel, if you're a developer and you have an account that's provisioned for you, that's going through WorkOS Directory Sync. Pretty cool. Vercel actually also uses SSO. They use a bunch of WorkOS stuff. And they're obviously growing like crazy, if you followed the company. Raised hundreds of millions of dollars, doing really well. So that's Directory Sync. The third thing is the WorkOS admin portal. This is self-serve onboarding for enterprise IT admins. Again, kind of a mouthful. What does that mean? Well, it's really about the setup and configuration experience for all of this stuff. Once you have these integrations, the question becomes, how do you get people to use it? How do you get people to actually connect their systems? Before building this, we saw this problem in the world where actually setting this stuff up is a huge headache. I don't know if any of you have gone through this, but you have to email back and forth people in IT. You might not even know the IT people. You're texting them. They're slacking them certificates. You're trying to get the attributes mapped. You're saying, can you try validating now? Can we test it now? It can take weeks to set up one of these features like SSO or SCIM. Literally weeks, or in some cases months. And this might be fine if you're going to do it for just a handful of customers once in a while. But it's not fine if you're going to scale this up, if your ambition is actually to grow into the enterprise and get a lot of customers. This is a non-starter. And so we built something we called the admin portal. And really the change here is this gives you an entire interface and an experience that you can link customers to, and they can go set stuff up on their own. It turns something that's previously this huge, laborious, headache-inducing experience into something that's actually really easy. It has hundreds and hundreds, I think 600 screenshots in it. It actually will dynamically adapt based on what provider you're connecting and heal itself with errors. It'll show you errors and suggest how to repair them, how to fix it. In the very end, it actually tests everything to make sure it's working. And this takes that experience and turns it into less than 5 minutes to set it up. We've heard from IT admins, they're just blown away by this. They're like, oh my God, no one's ever made anything this good for us. And this also is being used across hundreds and hundreds of companies today. It can be branded and themed and styled. So you might not know, actually, that you've used the WorkOS admin portal before. But it's out there. For those of you that are using ChatGPT, if you've adopted ChatGPT Enterprise, you might go to the help docs and recognize something that looks familiar. And it's not just ChatGPT. If you're on the other side of the fence using Claude, it's there too. Making that headache process around setting up an SSO actually something that's incredibly easy to do, so you can offer it to all of your customers. So that's the admin portal. And last here is AuthKit. AuthKit is our all-in-one auth and user management product. Essentially the login box and everything surrounding it. We launched this less than a year ago, and it's already being used in production, again, by hundreds and hundreds of companies. AuthKit takes everything we've built at WorkOS and brings it all together into the full user management experience, handling registration, sign up, the full email lifecycle, sessions, impersonation. And at the end of the day, it also gives you a beautiful login experience that can be fully customized to your brand, to your app, and it looks great. We think it's the best looking login box out there in the world today, which matters a lot. Your login box is kind of like the front door to your application. It's the first experience people have when they use your product. It needs to look amazing. And even though we've shipped this less than a year ago, we have put dozens and dozens and dozens of features into this. The team has been super hard at work, relentlessly shipping new capabilities in this. We think it's the most advanced and most sophisticated identity solution that's out there on the market today. I said it's used by a bunch of companies that are out there. One of my favorite customers of this is Cursor. Cursor is a next-generation AI code editor. It's actually a fork of VS Code if you've used that. They took VS Code and injected it with the best AI that's out in the world. And if you haven't used it, it is magical. It turns everybody into a 10x developer, or a 100x. It's wild. You can just chat with it on the side and have it edit your code. All of Cursor identity is built on top of WorkOS. So if you're signing into Cursor, you're using WorkOS. Talked about 4 different products. This is really how they come together. You can think about the WorkOS stack if you're using this in your product. The base layer is our integrations, plugging into different identity systems, directory systems, different vendors, through things like SAML, OpenID Connect, SCIM, SIM, all these different acronyms. There's a lot of acronyms in IT. But that's really the base, is the integration layer. On top of that, we provide business logic for you. Things around organizations, the user management side, permissions, consistent behavior. That's what the IT people expect. We bring you the behavior side as well. And last but not least is the user interface. So something like AuthKit for the sign-in box, the admin portal, and also Radix, which we'll talk about in a bit, which is our design system. So this is the WorkOS stack. And everything we build fits into one or more of these layers. Today, WorkOS is powering hundreds upon hundreds of applications out there, a lot of which that you might use every day. And it's doing all this under the hood. You probably don't even see it. And we're enabling these hundreds and hundreds of apps to actually connect to thousands upon thousands of enterprise environments, the biggest brands, the biggest companies in the world. And this is what WorkOS is all about, enabling you to actually go build your products and scale and sell them up market faster. In order to do this, we've invested a lot to actually build this and operate it at scale. WorkOS does over 10 million API requests per day. It's connected to over 10,000 enterprise organizations. And we do all of this with a 99.999% uptime. 5 nines. And to give you a sense of scale, usually that's the industry standard. So it's super reliable, already working at scale across thousands and thousands of customers. Today, I want to talk about 5 new features coming to WorkOS. So this is new stuff that we've been working on that we're showing all of you for the very first time. It's really, really exciting. Let's jump in. OK, the first one, Passkeys. What are Passkeys? Well, Passkeys are a new form of authentication you might have heard about. They're already supported in your browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, iOS. And what Passkeys do is they actually take a device ID and combine them with some biometric data, scanning your face or your fingerprint, to offer an easier way to sign in. If you've used things like eBay or PayPal or other kind of like security-focused apps, they've been adopting Passkeys very quickly. But they're really, really powerful, and they essentially get rid of passwords. That's the short version. So no more passwords, use Passkeys. I'm working on this a lot, and I think the best way to show this is to do a live demo. What do you think? All right. So to give a demo of Passkeys, please welcome Cameron from WorkOS to the stage. Get him, bud.
Thanks, MG. Hi, everyone. So passkeys are a more convenient, more secure alternative to passwords. Unlike passwords, they can't be guessed. They are tied to a particular website, so they can't be phished. And they're often protected with biometrics. So I want to demo adding passkeys to an application we're building today called Super App. And what we're looking at right now is the WorkOS dashboard. This is the authentication page. Super App is already integrated with AuthKit, and we have password authentication enabled today. So we're just going to scroll down until we find passkeys, and we're going to enable it. And that's it. Super App now has passkeys. So let's take a look, though. This is the Super App sign-in page. I don't have an account yet, so I'm going to sign up. We'll just fill this out real quick. Whoa. And so in the olden times, we would put in a password right here. We are going to use Passkeys today. So I'm going to click this button. Passkeys are pretty new, so we do a little user education here. But I'm going to create a passkey. This is where that biometrics comes in. So I'm going to use my fingerprint. And I am now signed up. And sign-in is even better. Like the browser knows what I have passkeys, what passkeys are registered for the site, and it prompts me, so I'm just going to click it. Normally with autofill, oh, here's the biometrics again. Normally with autofill, we would have to go to the password page now and input that. But with passkeys, I can just bypass that completely, and I'm signed in. Thank you. So passkeys, more convenient, more secure, and they're just one flip of a switch away. Thanks. Back to you, MG.
So that's Passkeys. They are the easiest way to instantly make your app more secure. You saw it, just one click. Passkeys are already supported in Chrome, Safari, and other browsers. They've actually been out there in the wild for a bit. WorkOS Passkeys also has a native integration with 1Password. So the example we showed here was using the passkey from Chrome. But if your users are using a password manager, like 1Password, it works great for that too. It's one click to enable an auth kit, and it's free. So if you're already using WorkOS, just click the box. It's ready to go. Yeah. We're very excited about Passkeys. Almost as excited about SSO. Cool. Let's move on. So WorkOS has been an API-first company since the very beginning. We launched with an API. I think before we wrote any sales material or a marketing page, we started with API docs. We love, love, love APIs. And that's how our customers interface with our products today, is through our API. But sometimes you need something else. You need the UI that goes with the API. And so for the very first time, WorkOS is going to start providing the actual UI for your app. And we're calling this widgets. So what are widgets? Well, first of all, widgets are built on Radix. I mentioned this before. Radix is the most popular headless component system for React. It's used by companies like Vercel and Linear to ship great experiences in their products. And it's also used by hugely powerful open source systems like ShadCN. Underlying all of this is Radix, which is downloaded by developers tens of millions of times every month. It's built on this really powerful foundation. Widgets are also the full product experience for a feature. They're not just a front-end component. They're not just copy and paste code. They are the full end-to-end product experience, and we'll get into that in just a second. You want to really think about it not just as a little component, but the whole picture. And they do that by actually interacting directly with the WorkOS API. They handle the actual data fetching and access control needed to present that experience to your customers. So it's end-to-end, API and UI. Here's how they work. So on the left is your server. A page is requested. It loads. And you will mount the widget component with an ephemeral access token that you'll get from WorkOS. Just one little API call to get an access token for whatever user is using this, for that specific organization, that specific user. Once you take that token and you put it in the widget, you combine those two things together in your front end, that's all you do. You're done. The widget at that point will connect directly to WorkOS, load data, and actually not just allow them to read it, but also make mutations and change stuff. So it's full interaction inside of the product. These are React components. They are running in the React context of your application. They are not iframes. They're not iframes, which is really important from security. Yeah, there we go. This guy knows. They're not iframes. Many companies, when they build widgets, they deliver them to you through iframes. They say, oh, we have this UI, but we'll give you an iframe. And it always looks off. It always feels weird, has a different font, a different color, different style. The scrolling is weird. It just doesn't feel good in your app. Widgets are native React components that integrate directly with your product experience. The first widget that we're launching is probably the most complicated one. It's the user management widget. There is a ton of functionality in this. So this is for you to put in your app for your users to view which users are part of their organization. They can invite users. They can change attributes about them. They can change their role. They can deactivate them. They can do everything. If you've ever built one of these tables in your app, it's a huge pain. You will never have to build it again with widgets. And I think that first demo went so well, we should do another one. What do you think? Yeah. So please welcome Cameron back to give a demo of widgets.
Oh, hi again. OK, so yeah, in Super App, I've got to build that users table now. And this is kind of it's a feature every B2B app needs. You know, we've got to have the users page where an org admin can see who has access to the app. They can invite new users, remove users, change their role. It's kind of a nightmare feature to build because it's not like a glamorous feature. You know, this doesn't differentiate your product. There's a lot of sort of like surface area in terms of, you know, if you're going to send an invite, those typically expire. So you've got to be able to reissue expired invites or deleted invites. You need to be able to revoke them. You probably want search, pagination, filtering. There's just a lot to build. So at most shops, it's probably going to be at least 2 developers. You know, you'll have your front-end person building the UI and a back-end developer slinging APIs. You might have a product person or a designer involved. And it's going to take them several days at least. So I'm going to build this right now using WorkOS widgets. This is the code for our users page we're looking at right here. This to-do corresponds to this placeholder. So we're going to get rid of that. Oh, gosh. This is not my computer, by the way. And send me good wishes. OK, thanks. So this is a React library, like we mentioned. And like a lot of React libraries, we're going to start with a provider component. In this case, it's called WorkOS widgets. OK. And inside of our provider, we're just going to stick our user management view component. And OK, so we've got 3 lines of code, 2 components. Let's see what that gets us. Oh, dang. OK, so we have, you can see pending invites. We can search. We can do all the stuff we just talked about, invite users. You know, if Ava here got promoted, we could change her role. So all of this with 3 lines of code, and it looks fantastic thanks to Radix themes. You might be wondering, like, can this look great in my app? And yes, it can. We have some lightweight theming built in thanks to Radix themes, so we can pass like a theme prop. You know, maybe you have a brand color you use, or a font that the rest of your site uses. Whoa. OK, let's try this. OK. Oh, look at that. OK, so we got some colors. They're used everywhere. It looks good. It can go a lot more complicated than this. You have all the powers of CSS at your disposal. So one of my coworkers drew up like a quick. Oh, I need to get rid of this theme prop now. He made like a Figma-inspired view. You can see we're getting more color now, bigger border radiuses. Kind of a more extreme example is we've got like a Discord mode, Discord-inspired. Oh, check that out. So WorkOS widgets, the goal is provide awesome functionality that you don't think about. You drop it into your app. User management's the first one. We've got more to come. Thank you very much. Back to you, MG.
Give it up again for Cameron. 2 for 2 live demos. So those are widgets. They can be styled and themed to match your app and your UI natively. They're full drop-in features, end to end. We just showed a couple of the capabilities here, but there's so much more in a widget. It handles all of the data loading and the access control for this functionality, so you never have to write those back-end API calls. Today, we're shipping the user management widget, which is probably the most complex piece to embed in your app for users. But there's a lot more coming soon, including an account switcher, the organization settings, and a ton more. We're really excited to continue investing in this and take everything we've done on the API side and start to ship to you the UI. All right, so that's widgets. We got more stuff to cover. Let's keep going. Third is entitlements. So what are entitlements? It's kind of a fancy word. Well, entitlements are essentially what features users have access to depending on what plan they're on. So you can kind of think about it as access control depending on what you're subscribed to. If you're on the free plan, the starter plan, you might get the base entitlements. If you subscribe or upgrade to the pro plan, maybe you get a few more, some more storage, some more capabilities. And finally, if you're on the enterprise plan, you'll get all the enterprise entitlements. And for those of you selling up market to enterprise, you know that entitlements management actually gets really, really complicated. Even within the enterprise, not everyone gets everything at the same time. So we think we've created a really unique solution here. And the first way what we're doing to solve entitlements is integrating them with Stripe. Show of hands, how many of you use Stripe at your companies? Yeah, a bunch of you. We love Stripe. The way this works, you create your Stripe account, you already have your Stripe account, and you connect it to WorkOS. And WorkOS will push data into Stripe and actually register webhook handlers from Stripe for us to get data out. So you really don't need to write any code. It just is connected. After this, WorkOS handles pulling all of the information for entitlements out of Stripe and pushing it directly into your app and directly into the front-end session in the context. So you can just dynamically update the capabilities based on what plan somebody is subscribed to in Stripe. I think also the best way to show this is with another live demo. Please welcome Pantera.
It's always rough following Cameron's demos. It's fine. So I'm back to Super App. Our product suite is growing, and we've introduced features now that are only available on higher product tiers, like our enterprise plan. So that's here with Autologs. We want this to update seamlessly, right? When I click Upgrade to Enterprise, I want to immediately have access to this new plan. So we do use Stripe to handle billing, and Stripe gives us the ability to connect entitlements with certain features. But to really make this work seamlessly, we need to deepen our integration. We need to listen for Stripe webhooks for subscriptions, extract the updated entitlements, store them. Anytime the user uses our app, we need to query them. And if we want to have good calls to action like this, we also need to serialize that information up to the front end. So I can actually expose our access token here. So this is the information available here on the front end, and it's what powers this showing to upgrade to enterprise. So let me actually do that. I'm going to upgrade to enterprise right now. It's thinking. All right, let me update my subscription. Enterprise, it's pretty cheap. Thanks, Stripe. All right, let me head back to my demo. And now I have access to these audit logs. So I want to show you that this entitlement appears here. But that's not the best thing. The best thing is all that stuff I said you needed to do, I didn't build any of it. WorkOS did all that for us. It listened to the webhooks, it updated the entitlements, and it serialized those updated entitlements in this access token here. You just need to connect your WorkOS app to Stripe. Thanks.
So that's entitlements. It's really, really, really easy to add to your app. It's essentially this automatic feature gating that allows you to map which plans your customers subscribe to what features they get in your product. The setup with Stripe is native. It's just putting in an API token from Stripe, and we do everything after that. And like you saw in the demo, it natively integrates seamlessly with AuthKit, our auth and identity product. So if you're using AuthKit sessions, it just shows up in the JWT. You don't have to do anything. That's available for your React code to conditionally render information or for your backend to check whether a certain capability is available. And entitlements are also available today. And they're also free, which is not on here. That's entitlements. All right. OK, we got 2 more. The next is actions. So what are actions in WorkOS? Well, going back to that life cycle of a user signing up in your app, the login box, you have a user and they register, and that interaction just goes directly to WorkOS. Because with AuthKit, we're running your login box for you. You don't have to write any code. They just sign up directly through AuthKit. But sometimes you might want to inject some behavior in this. You actually might want to have something that happens during sign-up. You might want to call out to your service and send a response back to determine whether a user should be able to sign in or not, or maybe to call out to your CRM or your other marketing tool to enrich it in some way. And essentially, you need to add some functionality to the WorkOS lifecycle. And that's what actions are. They let you approve or deny a user. And to give another live demo of this, please welcome back Pantera.
So Super App is focused on the B2B market. We've noticed over time that signups from consumer domains haven't actually been very valuable to us. So we've made the business decision to deny those domains. So signups from like Gmail or Hotmail, we're going to deny them. Actions are a way to synchronously extend WorkOS operations, like sign up and authentication, and they allow you to allow or deny them based on custom criteria. I'm going to implement that right now. So I head over here to Actions. I'm pointing this at my local host because, of course, live demo, what could go wrong? Going to enable the action. And now, time for the implementation. I'm not going to force you to watch me to type a bunch of stuff. I've already have this implementation here, but let me quickly walk you through it. I have my set of disallowed domains. When the action comes in, the first thing I do is I verify the signature from WorkOS. This is how you can trust that this action came from WorkOS and not just from anybody else. I extract the email domain and then make my decision, the verdict, either to allow or deny. When I return the response, I once again compute a signature. This is to make sure that nobody can inject themselves in the middle and return an invalid response back to WorkOS. So to really show this in action, I'm actually going to drop in a breakpoint and then head on over. Sign up. Nothing like typing while a bunch of people are watching you. That's fine. Oh, hey, I've done this before. Look at that. So let's sign up from a gmail.com domain. And when I continue, oh, this already stopped. Well, that's what happens when you run a live demo. Give me 1 second. Yay. All right, well, it did deny the sign up, but it was supposed to hit my breakpoint. Why? Oh, you have to save it first. So let's try this again, shall we? Saving your code. Oh, God. OK, there we go. Now it will enjoy my password. There we go. All right, live demo. All right, so as you can see, save your code before you run it. As you can see here, we're stopped in the debugger. The app is actually waiting for me to complete this. And we have the user data here that I'm using to compute it. So when I continue, I head back. Spoiler alert, you've seen this before. We've denied the sign up here. If I pop back over here to my Actions tab, I actually have logs for all of the actions. And this is actually the latest action that we denied. So we keep track of all of these actions, and you can see what you have allowed and what you have denied. When we initially launch, we're going to have actions for sign up and authentication. Thanks.
So that's WorkOS Actions. Actions allow you to insert custom logic during the authentication lifecycle. So you can block access to sign up. You can restrict registration. You can do pretty much anything you want during that experience. Call out to third-party systems. I want to be really clear, this is your code running on your servers. You didn't see Pantera copy and paste some JavaScript into the WorkOS dashboard or have us run it for you. This is running on your system, and so it has access to credentials, it's secure, it's within your own infrastructure, which means the code can also be version controlled. You can test it and roll it out progressively. It's your servers. Essentially, this makes AuthKit programmable. It's a new way to hook in. It's really a new API for you to extend the behavior. Today, we're rolling out the sign-up action, that registration flow that we demoed today, but we have a lot more coming soon. And our goal is to make the full life cycle around working with WorkOS extensible in your product. So that's actions. All right, last but not least, all these have been exciting, good features. They're all good features. But the world is full of bad actors. There are malicious users out there, people that are up to no good, that might be trying to hack into your product, that might be trying to use stolen passwords. If you've ever run a large-scale service, I'm sure you've dealt with this. There's also bots. There are advanced AI systems now. The CAPTCHA is essentially dead. And generally just jokers that are doing weird stuff out there that you want to block their behavior. So we've been thinking a lot about this problem. Auth and identity is really the first piece, the first step that people see when your product. And so we're in a really unique position to be able to help you block a lot of these activities and ensure a better experience for your customers. So we've been working on this a lot and getting a lot of data, and we think we have a really good first solution for this. And we're calling it Radar. So please welcome one more time back up Pantera to give a demo of Radar.
The story of Super App continues. We're doing great. We're doubling month over month. We're on Hacker News, Product Hunt. To give you an idea of how old I am, I still remember when getting slashdotted was a big deal. But this notoriety comes at a cost. People might point bots to scrape your content, or your catalog, or your inventory. If you have a free tier, they might go into automated account creation to bypass usage limits. Or there might just be a flat-out malicious attacker that is attempting to break into one of your existing accounts. You've become a target. In fact, I'm being a bad actor right now. I have downloaded a set of passwords, and this is me actually running a live script, attempting to brute force my way into my own account here. So the good news is we're not defenseless. Of course, biometrics. If I try to log in, well, I was not supposed to be able to log in. The brute force is not working. Let me make sure that the configuration's not on. It's not. Well, that's always exciting. Let me give this another chance. Let me make sure that my script is actually still running and it did not stop. Haha, my script stopped. Let's do this one more time. Live demos. So after a little while, this will start getting denied, but it will take a moment for us to notice, aha, there we go. Okay. All right, once more with feeling. Come on, there we go. There we go. Okay, now authentication blocked. Everything's going smoothly. It's all great. Okay, like I said, we do have protection here. But as you noticed, I got caught in this same protection. It's based on IP blocking. And there's a lot of times when many users might all be behind one IP. It happens more than you think. We're doing it right now at this conference. So that means that now legitimate users like me are getting blocked because of one bad actor. So this is a sledgehammer when we need more finesse. Well, that's what Radar's for. Radar collects a number of signals about your users, and it gives you a summary. You can actually see the attack happening right now with this increased traffic. But it also uses these various signals to give you some out-of-the-box protections. It can limit bot access to limit account creation. It can prevent credential stuffing or brute force attacks. And it can notify you of unexpected behaviors, like a login from a new device or impossible travel. So let's go back and actually deal with this attack. So I have this brute force attack protection that I'm going to enable. So I'm going to head back here and actually try to sign in. And this time, I'm in. And I can promise you the attack is still going, just so you can see. So what happened here? Rather than using an IP, Radar is using state-of-the-art fingerprinting. It tracks over 20 device characteristics to create a stable fingerprint and help distinguish bad actors from legitimate users. We're going to make that fingerprint available in WorkOS events and actions as well, so you can extend these capabilities against other types of abuse. Thanks. Back to you, Michael.
One more time for Pantera and Cameron. 5 live demos. So that's Radar. We are really, really excited about Radar. It gives you the most advanced fingerprint detection and bot blocking that we think is out on the market today. And if you're using AuthKit, you just have to turn this on. You don't have to do anything else. As Pantera said, we've been working tirelessly on this device fingerprinting technology. This is really at the root of what we provide in Radar. And we combine together over 20 different signals, unique signals from the browser, to create a stable, durable ID for your users that's tracked across sessions, across IP addresses. And we're going to make this available inside of events and just generally as an API for your product, too. Radar, out of the box, can block bots. It can block brute force attacks, as you saw. Something called impossible travel, which is really 2 sessions, it's kind of signing up at the same time where someone couldn't move from one to the other. So if within 5 minutes you have someone signing up in San Francisco and then Moscow, one of them is probably wrong. Credential stuffing, hacked password databases, just trying a bunch of stuff, we block that. Blocking stale accounts as well, someone that hasn't signed in for a long time, we have sophistication around that. And even unknown devices, being able to block users where a device we haven't seen before. You've probably seen these behaviors in products that you use today, other mature SaaS products, and typically you have to build all this stuff yourself. It's very, very common to have to hire a whole fraud and abuse team to solve this. But with Radar, you just get it out of the box. Now, all of the stuff you saw today is real. These are actually real products that we have built and real features. It's not just slideware. And we're really excited with Radar to be rolling out a private beta today. So if you're interested in Radar, please come talk with us. We want to work with you to make sure it's a perfect solution for your product and can roll it out in tandem with your team to block all those bad actors and stop them in their tracks. So that's Radar. Passkeys, widgets, entitlements, actions, and Radar. A lot of new stuff. But there's one more thing that we haven't talked about today. It's kind of the elephant in the room, you might be thinking. And that's AI. OK, so let's go back to that SaaS app that you were building at the beginning of the presentation. Early on, you build that app, you launch it, you get a bunch of users. And your app is growing, right? You're getting more and more customers. You're getting more users. And products, really, this is how they exist today. Your app is primarily used by people. People logging in, people using your web app, maybe your mobile app, logging in through something like AuthKit, doing actions, whatever it is. And this has really been the model of cloud software for the last, 20 years. A user signs into your product. And it's a user, a person, a human that's interacting with your service. And that's what you're really trying to build products for. But this is changing. And it's changing with something called agents. So if you're not familiar with an agent, what that means, it's nothing scary. An agent is really like an assistant. An agent is something that's an AI system that'll help you get your work done faster, help you be more productive, and help you connect to different services. And agents will be doing things on behalf of users. They'll be interfacing directly with your procurement system to help you with tasks, your document system. They'll be helping in your personal life, maybe book travel, reserve a flight, or go get a hotel. And it won't just be one agent that you'll have a bunch of agents going and doing a bunch of other things. Those agents will be collaborating, connecting to each other, and you'll be kind of like the manager of them, the boss. And this is going to be really, really, really powerful. This is a new model for pretty much all software of how we interact, thanks to the changes happening in AI. And what needs to change is your apps need to adapt to be able to work with agents. In order to be competitive, in order to actually continue to serve your customers, they're going to start asking for agents connecting. And it's not just going to be one user that wants to use their agent. Or it's not even going to be one agent per user. It's going to be a ton of agents that are out there. I actually think there's going to be more agents than people in the world. If we have 7 billion people in the world, there will probably be hundreds of billions of agents that are spawned, that are off doing tasks, that are helping you get stuff done in your life. So it's going to be a challenge for that app to work with all of these systems and interface with all of them. And so we have something new that we've been working on, and we're talking about it here for the very, very first time, and this is WorkOS AI. WorkOS Agent Identity. And what WorkOS Agent Identity will let you do is have your app interact with these agents, connect to them securely, and allow your users to interface through WorkOS to do actions in your product. So your users will be able to spawn as many agents as they want. Agents that have very specific tasks, that only get access to that, maybe just for a short amount of time. Maybe agents will sign up on their own to your product. You might have, if you say you built an app, I don't know, that helps people, send documents to get signed. The majority of your use cases might be agents coming in and doing that. And WorkOS will be the gateway to enable you to do this securely, robustly, at scale, and have the same level of kind of durability for enterprise that we've been known for years. WorkOS will kind of be like the CPU in the middle of this ecosystem, connecting together all of these systems together and allowing you to bring your apps you've already built into this AI future that we're all building towards. And we think it's going to be really, really big. So that's just a little preview of WorkOS Agent Identity. And this is coming in 2025. All right. So to wrap up, if you live in San Francisco, you may have seen something like this on a billboard that we had on 101. WorkOS is the API to expand your TAM, your total addressable market. And it's a bit of a cheeky saying, works well on a billboard, but this is actually something that we believe, that we think is true. When you use WorkOS, it lets you grow your product up market, unlock more customers, and build your business faster. WorkOS is really the conduit to those enterprise organizations. And at the end of the day, it's about growth. And that's what Enterprise Ready is all about. That's why you're all here. Enterprise Ready is about accelerating growth. I'm so excited that you all decided to come out here this morning and share today with us. We have an incredible program of speakers here, including right after this, after a coffee break, a panel with engineering and product leads at some of the most exciting companies. We have really, really great talks this afternoon that are going to go into technical details around things like advanced identity, permissioning, access control, and even some really, really cool stuff about encryption. And then finally, we're going to wrap up the day with a fireside chat with Christina Cassiopo, who's the founder and CEO of Vanta, one of the most exciting, fast-growing security companies of the last 10 years. There's a bunch of people here from WorkOS as well. Please raise your hand if you're here from WorkOS. Take a look. I would love to meet you all. Really excited to get to know you. So would the folks from WorkOS. Thank you for coming. Please enjoy the day. Thank you.
Let's go.